Hey YouTube, Ultra Magnum here, and here we have it, the big one. I've been looking forward to this all week. The three-way face-off between DX9 Capone, MP Gravestone and Fanstoys Roadking. All great figures, lots of interesting things that separate these three, so I thought I'd do a breakdown of the things that I look for in a figure. And to make it a little fun, I'm going to score these guys on each category. So 10 categories in total, with a score of 1, 2 or 3, making for a maximum of 30 available. Okay, let's see how they do. So here we have it, alt mode, arranged conveniently in order of least trailer to most trailer. And you can see straight away, they're very consistent with each other in terms of size. XTB is longer, but then again, there is more stuff in here. You have an upper torso and arms versus legs in DX9 and Fanstoys. That being said, not much in it in terms of size, fits very nicely with the Masterpiece scale. Okay, so let's take a look at each in turn. So we're going to do this in order of least attractive to most attractive. And first up, DX9. So it's by no means a slouch by anybody's standards. There are nice paint details, some great metallic purple paint on the tankers at the side. Kind of confused colouring for the windows. You have the translucent plastic on the front and then a painted finish on these. In terms of cleanup, it has the least attractive cleanup in alt mode. You have this huge cross-like effect in the middle due to the paneling. You have some kind of unsightly hinges on the side. If you can kind of put those aside and just look at it for what it is, which is a great figure and a great transformation, then you can kind of forgive those. However, it does place it lowest in terms of alt mode for me. Next up in terms of order of ascending beauty is XTB. So straight out the box, this thing is fantastic. It's got a really nice weight to it. It just feels and looks like a quality alt mode. And this is how, this is how you get it. So really good stuff straight out the box. It's got fantastic finish on the paint, the metallic purple, complemented by a different shade of purple on the smokestacks and the detailing on the side. Detailing all over, nice touches on the top, the kind of indicator lights at the side, the purple translucent on the front and top and side. All in all, just really great looking all round. But all in all, top-notch stuff, really great. Grade A standard. And finally, of course, the Fanstoys. So for me, this is the outright winner in terms of looks and finish for the alt mode. It really is a quality piece of art. In terms of sculpt, you have nice detailing on the side. There's grills, pipes and ratchets and all sorts of things. Detail on the tanks at the side. The chrome work is absolutely excellent. There's not an unseemly kind of blemish in sight. Extra detail points for me, the little translucent lights for the top of the cab. Different paint for the foghorns. You've got, of course, the translucent plastic for the front window side and top. A couple of minor points, so the 2 pins that you see on the side, and you can see a line on the top. But compared to the other two, it's so much cleaner and so much more aesthetically pleasing. Okay, on to transformation, and least favorite for me, X-Transbots. So it's relatively intuitive, but there's nothing really mind-blowing about it. There's no masterpiece wow moments, and personally, it's not a figure I enjoyed transforming an awful lot. Enjoyability, Fanstoys Roadking, and wow, this figure is full of masterpiece moments all over. It starts at the very beginning of the transformation, where the small feet turn into the big cab seamlessly, and then it finishes off with a full trailer folding out from the figure. Absolutely brilliant. So the reason it's not my number one in terms of enjoyment is just the sheer number of details that combine, get it, to kind of make a lengthy process, and it just starts to erode some of the fun factor. So for me, top marks in terms of transformation go to DX9 Capone. which for me has the right blend of masterpiece moments, enjoyment and detail and transformation. So it's not as far reaching as the Fanstoys in terms of complexity, but you do have a significant component of the trailer folding up very neatly, really cleans it well. You have some nice movements on the feet and just general kind of awesomeness all round. In terms of engineering and how good these are put together, lowest marks for me go to XTB. So there's a few bits throughout this figure where I think there's poor engineering choices. In particular, the waist bit, it's asking too much of you to move all of this bulk on such a small plastic piece. There are a few creaky bits throughout in terms of paneling, linking to other bits of panels, so not the best, I'm afraid. Next up, DX9. Super solid throughout. It's a solid performer in all aspects of the engineering. The plastic is great. There's no die cast, so probably loses a few points there, but it makes up for that in terms of the solidness of the plastic, the quality of it, and the way it comes together. I think some of the friction joints may lose a little over time, but we'll have to kind of wait and see on that one. And the winner, Fanstoys. This is an absolute technical marvel of engineering for masterpiece transformers. Combine that with the heft of the figure, the quality in terms of the die cast and the finish and those kind of things, the way it combines it all together, and what it actually does in terms of taking all of this and turning it into a cab with a trailer. It's a marvel of masterpiece engineering. Top marks. Next up, accessories, and I think Fanstoys comes in last. The sword's a little short. It has the bonus of the paint, but it just looks a little kind of weird, especially in that big figure. Next for me, DX9. Nice sculpt, detailing and paint finish, but it just feels a little light and flimsy. Surprisingly, X-Transbots. Really, really great. Nice sculpt, heft. Could have done with some paint maybe, but overall, the better quality of the three. Same for the blasters for me. Fanstoys is a little small. It does have paint and some details, but it just doesn't fit right with the figure. DX9 is better. It's bigger and bulkier and it has nice sculpt, but it doesn't have any paint. XTB, the best quality of the three by far. Nice sculpt, paint finish, fits the figure well. Good stuff. In terms of posability, I've developed something called the Roundhouse Test, which when you see it, you might think, well, I'm never going to display my figures that way, but it does illustrate something about how the figures are put together and what are the limits of what you can do with them. So here we go. Last place, Fanstoys Roundhouse Test. Go on. What he holds. Okay, try this side. Next up, XTB. Here we go. Full roundhouse. So, I think he can do this. He has it in him. He just needs a little bit of work. Come on. Hey, there we go. Okay, DX9. Here we go. Roundhouse test. No bother whatsoever. Oh wow. So there's something about the plastic on this. It's lightweight-ish, but it's really, really strong. He's got soft ratchets in the legs, friction joints in other places, but the friction joints are just, they have a smoothness and a tightness to them which just allows you real easy kind of movements. He's just awesome. So for steadiness, what I'm judging here is how well these guys sit on the feet, basically. And for me, at the bottom of the pile is DX9. So he's steady, don't get me wrong, he will stand. There's nothing floppy about this figure. But there is a certain kind of weight distribution about him, which means he has just the slightest tendency to rock back on these feet with not really much pressure on him. And it's all to do with the way that these are constructed. So all of the weight of the body is on this rocker. Now you do have ankle support here, but it's just not far back enough to ensure that he has that full stability. Next, Fanstoys. Much more solid in terms of prospect. So he's got a lot to kind of support the figure on. Really solid heft, kind of pushes down. He can rock back a little bit in terms of posture, and that's okay. He does have certain kind of limitations depending on how you stand him, but generally he's okay. And the winner in terms of steadiness on feet, DX9. Look at that. Oh, he's just showing off now, isn't he? Quality of materials. Difficult to judge, but if you take it in terms of consistency across the whole figure, I think that's a good way of looking at it. And for me, the low score goes to X-Transbots. He has great parts, so the die cast on the front and the legs, and that's complemented by some of the detailing, but that is really offset for me by the lower grade stuff in terms of the lesser grade plastic and the joints here, and also the kind of flimsy paneling feel to some of these bits in the cab. So yeah, X-Transbots. Now for the other two, there's not really much that separates them if you look at it in that sense, in terms of consistency and quality. But I'm going to place at second place DX9. Now this is super consistent. The plastic is high grade stuff, and it allows for that posability and steadiness that we've talked about. The only reason that I would downgrade it slightly is because of the finish of that plastic. It's superb for what it is. It gives it a lot of plus points, but it doesn't have that full collectible feel that you get with Fanstoys. This figure is an absolute work of art in terms of quality of material and sculpt and the way that these things come together. It's extraordinary. Now you could question some of the design features, but in terms of actual quality of stuff, it's a notch above the other two. Really excellent stuff. Next up, Sculpt. This is difficult to judge, so it's purely subjective, purely my taste, but here we go. Last place for me is XTB. I acknowledge that I do have the alt face on, however, for me the issue persists in both. It's just got a little bit of a vacant look to it for me. It's good, it is really good, but compared to the other two, it's a little vacant. What can I say? Next, Fanstoys. Really great sculpt, paint application, quality, looks, all of those things. he just has something of a sentry kind of look of him. So this is like a robot guarding something. That's what he reminds me of, and I can't shake it. There's not much character there. Which brings me to the winner, DX9. This, for me, is brilliant sculpt. Now, there is something about this face, the way it catches the light, it has a dynamic kind of quality. There's a smirk, there's a sneer, there's real character there. They've all got excellent application and paint, but this has character. This looks like when you go to bed, he comes off the shelf and gets up the stuff. Number 9, the Optimus Test. XTB, way too beefy. Fanstoys, way too tall. DX9, just perfect. Shelf presence. This is really difficult to judge, but we'll give it a go. So last up for me is XTB. And this isn't to say it doesn't have great presence, because it does. It's a good figure, really good. But there's something about the proportionality and the way it kind of looks up here versus how it figures out down here. He looks a bit blocky and a bit kind of boring. Plus the kind of height disparity with his compatriots from XTB. There's something about him that's just, it's not quite there. Next up, this is tough. So DX9, this has tons of presence, and I mean lots, and it's based on the dynamics of the figure itself, the posability, the way it looks, the slyness of it. But it's all of those things that aren't quite true to the Motormaster character. So fantastic though he is, and really, really top notch, posability, all of those things, it isn't quite Motormaster, and that's why he doesn't quite make it to the top spot. Which is where this guy comes in. So for sheer presence on the shelf and really faithful representation of Motormaster, for me it's Fanstoys. If you're looking to recreate the character itself, this is it. And that's not to say that I'll be displaying this guy on my shelf, but in terms of presence, I think he tops it. He has the right proportionality, captures the character. What he loses out in terms of scale with other figures, he more than makes up for in those aspects. So yeah, top marks. On to the all-important results. So by my reckoning, if you add up all those 1s and 2s and 3s, you get to something like this. In last place, XTB with 14 points. Second place, Fanstoys, 22 points. And in first place, the winner, DX9 with 24 points. Now, this is purely subjective, but for me, if I assess these on those metrics, I think XTB's kind of out the race. So he's a good figure, really solid, and I'd be happy with him in any other circumstance. But the fact is, we've got 3 great offerings on the table here. For me, it's been really great fun looking at these figures, testing them out, pitting them off against each other, and I think as collectors we're really lucky to have this kind of offering. So, if you've enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave comments down below, like and subscribe to my channel, and bye for now.